Sophie is on a roll. She's filming another video because I'm going to Wicked tomorrow and I can see myself being shattered from that, so I won't do anything. I've already got a video for Wednesday tomorrow coming up, so you know, I'm on the ball. I thought might as well film some videos so then I have some stored for whenever. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit different, you know. It's about a topic that I love, and another topic that I love, books and Orphan Black. Because recently I got my Helsinki note comics, so I thought why not talk to you about the comics, because it's books and it's Orphan Black. Haha. Ooh. Ooh, look at that. Aren't they pretty? This is, I guess you could say, the first one. And I don't really think there's like a way of reading it, because this is the first one I got, first one that was out. It has all of the 5 in the series. I think I spoke a little bit about it when I did the whole thing. So you have a bit on Sarah, you have a bit on Where Is You, Lena, you have a bit on Allison, then you have a bit on Cosima. And then finally you have a bit on Rachel. I love this one because it's not a story per se, it's different moments of each clone's life, if that makes sense. So it's not a story, it's events that, so you watch a TV show and then you get this and then you read it and you sort of have, it fills in the gap. Like the Allison story is her in high school, starts with as her in high school, and then it starts from the scene where Allison finds out about Donnie's DVDs, yeah. But also it has a scene of how Donnie got to be Allison's monitor, but then, and it also has the scene when Sarah comes to rescue Allison from her sort of party she's hosting, and like her breakdown during that, and then when they go on their couples retreat. So it's sort of filling in moments to sort of make the story a bit more whole, so the bits you've missed out. Although if I was to tell you anybody's which one to read the most, I would say to read Rachel's, because Rachel's is very interesting. You definitely learn, not that you don't find out things in the others, sort of little snippets, but you learn things that you might not have known from the TV show if you hadn't read this. It's very good. The drawings are amazing. Like, let me show you these. Let me show you that. Like, can you see that? Isn't that cool? Like, that's all of the clones. That's Sarah, Allison, Rachel, Cosima and Helena. Isn't that like cool? I wouldn't say get this if you don't really like Orphan Black or you just sort of briefly like it. I would say this is more for if you've watched a TV show and you love it like I do. Yeah. Because again, if you haven't watched a TV show, you sort of don't know, you won't be able to know sort of what's going on. Like when I first read it, I was a bit like, this is a bit quick, this is a bit like, oh. But then I sort of realised it's snippets into their lives, if that makes sense. That is what I would call it. It's a mini-series. It's not meant to be these big dramatic novels. It's just giving you a bit more of an insight into each of these ladies, if that makes sense. And just the artwork is great. Really great. And then Helsinki. Helsinki is a little different because it doesn't follow an individual clone, if that makes sense. It's got like, these were all 5 comics and they tell a bit of the story each. So unlike in the Orphan Black one, they tell each character's little bit. This tells a little bit of the story instead of focusing on one main character. Although it does focus on one main character, it focuses on MK, and I'm so pleased because I feel like although we got to see a lot of MK in season 4, we don't, there is only so much you can tell because you've got to focus on all the other clones as well. So this is a good way of giving you that backstory, so then when you go back into it and watch the TV series, you can be like, ah. So we have the chaos strategy, the code duplication, fail-safe redundancy, false positive error, and kill switch. So it gives us a bit more of a backstory into what happened in Helsinki. And I must admit I did get a little confused because I thought Helsinki was a barn fire where all the clones died together, but apparently not. In this book they are each targeted. We also, another person we do see in this is Katja Obinger, and I was like, when I first saw it I was like, Katja, you're alive! You're alive even just for this moment. But it does very much focus on MK and Nikki, which I found was very interesting. Nikki, she was quite a interesting character. She had a lot of layers. All these clones have very much layered personalities. And another thing I loved was we found out, I don't want to say why MK is weird, but why she has certain mannerisms autistic. She has Asperger's, which I find is very interesting as my brother has Asperger's, so it's sort of like I sort of know what it is and like how it affects you and stuff. And I thought it was very nice because again all these clones have different layers, so of course one of them is going to have a disorder of types, whether it be a physical disorder, a mental or a social type disorder. So I think we also see Rachel in it, and we see Rachel's relationship with Ferdinand, how that has been brewing quite a few years. But we also see some other clones, which I loved. I love seeing new clones. It's always great seeing new clones, but also who we won't get to see in the series because they died because of Helsinki. But as well as Katja Obinger, another clone that people might recognise. I did have to take a double take and be like, is that who I think it is? And I'll show you the picture of her and you tell me what you think. Right down there in the scrubs. Helena, because we have this girl this clone who's killed, and look, is that nurse? Who does that look like? Helena. Yeah. I love this book because we finally get to know a bit more about Helsinki, because again, like MK, it's sort of discussed in the show but it's never gone into detail, whereas this book sort of gives us the brief, what we need to know, because like it says on the back, Helsinki, spoken in hushed tones, the word means almost certain death for the clones of Project Leader. Learn the dark secrets of this codename in this special event miniseries by co-creators John Fawcett and Graham Manson, with Helly Kennedy, and art by Alan Quah, Wayne Nichols and Fiso Ossio. Which is true, it's a miniseries again. And it tells you of their journey of how they all came together and were self-aware to how Topside and Dyad got rid of them all, except for Mika and Katja Obinger and Helena. Well, Helena got rid of Katja Obinger, so again, I wouldn't recommend this if you haven't, especially if you haven't watched season 4. I keep saying season 5 because I read something on Goodreads that someone said they'd read this and they were on season 3. I was sort of thinking, that's probably not good because they don't really go over anything about Helsinki up until season 3, really. They don't. It's more season 4 that they bring Helsinki to a kind of forefront, so we sort of know that happened because they were self-aware. So I wouldn't read this until you are on season 4 and you've watched the episode that they talk about Helsinki, which is episode 4. Episode 4, From Instinct to Rational Control, is the one where they talk about Helsinki in like full, really. Otherwise it's just been brief muttering. So I think unless you've watched that episode and the whole of season 4, you're not going to have a clue what's going on or who these people are, because really, unless you've watched season 4, you have no idea who MK is. Though they do refer to her in this book as Vera Swaminin, which is nice to sort of see her name being used before she was MK. It's nice to see MK before MK was born, and sort of when she has her tag, how the name MK came about. Also, look at the back. Isn't that cool? Like, I can only presume that's MK. That's Nikki. How cool is that? And even in the the book, they have the picture that MK has in the TV series. Where is it? Isn't that cool? So that was my review of the Orphan Black comic book and the Orphan Black Helsinki comic book. Again, I wouldn't recommend them unless you watched the series and like it. Well, love it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I enjoyed making this because I love talking about anything Orphan Black. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment if you've read these. See if I'm the only one that likes them. Thanks for watching. Bye.